First things first, what we'll be doing now, so this is what you're really all waiting for, is to find out who's going to be presenting this evening. All right, so I'll go through some details, but just to give you guys a sense, in order of your team numbers, team number 5, Manatee Marker, round of applause. Woo! Team number 6, Kaleidoscope. Team number 8, Switch to Save. Team 10, Algae Me. Team 11, Eye of the Mantis. And I told you the judges were really struggling to narrow this down. So we're actually going to do 7, not 5 of you. So team number 15, what do I have? Social Sunrise. And team number 21, Earth Hackers. Okay, so here's how it's going to work. Each of you have 3 minutes to present your ideas, your projects, your proposals. The judges were asking that you head to the Mentors Judging channel in Slack, and there's a link there with the spreadsheet for you to fill out. All of the mentors are asked to judge. If you have a phone or a computer available to you, you can add your name to the spreadsheet. Is it a new row or a new column? All right, add your name as a new row in the spreadsheet, and then you'll...
Presentation is a separate sheet.
Okay, there's a separate sheet for each presentation. Anything else that you're sharing with them?
I have a laptop if somebody wants to go.
As do I. All right, just a reminder, the sort of overall things that we're challenging you to present and put together is the applicability, the daringness, the quality of execution, the feasibility of execution, and the depth of understanding of both your problem and the solution that you put together. Brian is placing a clock in front of you that'll give you a sense of your time. I'm going to have to be really strict because none of us want to stay here on a Saturday night. So with that, how about another round of applause for team number 5, Manatee Marker. Come on down. All right. You're going to get quiet down for Manatee Marker. Go for it.
Hi everyone, we are Manatee Marker and we have designed a system to use solar power to sonarily detect where manatees are located in areas like Florida so that boats will not collide with them as frequently. Currently, manatees are dying. There's about 6,000 manatees in Florida. 538 of those are dying every year, not to mention that 106 alone are killed by boats. Clearly, almost all of them have boating scars, as you can see in this image. These are caused by the propeller of the boats hitting them or the hull of the boats hitting them. Now, Florida's tried to implement a solution. They put in slow zones, where they tell people that they must maintain a minimum wake so they won't hurt the animals, but it's like telling people, don't speed in school zone when school's not in session. Boaters don't care. If they don't see it, they don't listen to it. And manatees don't react to the boat noise. They stay where they are, and they're slow-moving, docile creatures that are much alike to cows. In addition, they're very hard to detect because they're quiet. They're often camouflaged in the food that they're eating, and the current temperature as well as the food that they're eating makes them almost thermally invisible.
So our solution to this is to create a system, a grid, as you would, of buoys. We retrofit old channel marker buoys and also create our own buoys. The buoys will have sonar built into them that both create a radius around each buoy and also link to other buoys to create a gate sort of system. The buoys also have lights and a camera on top of each one. When a manatee crosses the line between two buoys, it sets off both of the buoys that create that line, lighting up both and alerting the boats in the area that there are manatees present for the next few minutes until the manatee clears the area. Also, if a manatee goes within the radius of one buoy, the density of the manatee and the sonar imaging will allow us to detect a specific manatee and also light up that specific buoy. The benefits to this are obviously that boaters want to avoid collisions because if a boat hits a buoy, it hits a manatee, it totally wrecks the boat and also could hurt the boat owner. And also, nobody wants to really kill a manatee. That's not anybody's goal here. Also, it provides enforcement evidence because of the cameras on top of the buoys. When a buoy is activated, it'll be taking pictures in a 360-degree radius of the buoy. And if any boat is creating too much of a wake within the radius of that buoy, when there are manatees present, that is actually considered a take or an attempt to kill the manatee by the Marine Mammal Protection Act. So we can actually use that to document who is trying to kill manatees, or to go too fast.
As we look for expansion to this possibility, because all it takes is a couple of technology pieces fitted onto buoys or channel markers that already are existing, we can look to harbors where there's often harbor porpoises that are hit by boats exiting those harbors quickly, causing them to hemorrhage and die. So this notification system can be essential to telling boats to, one, slow down, like seeing a light pop up to tell you to stop moving as quickly is essential. In addition, it also can provide data back to scientists about what is causing these manatees maybe to move at different times, because all animals in the region have a distinct sonar signature. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Manatee Marker. If I could get Kaleidoscope up next.
So we're Kaleidoscope. We're from that other big school 8 miles down the road. So.
Alrighty, so without further ado, trains and elephants collide. This is a huge problem. What we developed is a low-cost, real-time monitoring solution to help mitigate this issue.
We know this is a pretty horrifying slide, but unfortunately this is common in Sri Lanka and India. A recent study in India found that half of elephant deaths recorded in this area were caused by trains. Although there are speed limits in place, there's nothing to keep drivers from obeying them. In addition to the devastating impacts that this has on elephant populations, it also disrupts our functions as humans because it disrupts the railing system and we have to bring in a crane to remove the elephants.
Alright, so our system consists of two parts. First one is a seismic elephant detector that's deployed along the rail lines, and what that does is picks up when an elephant is in the vicinity of that beacon, and then sends a signal up to the cloud via cell service, and then more importantly, that sends a notification to the second part of the system, which is in a train. And that alert system basically lets the operator know that there's an elephant coming up along the tracks that they need to slow down. That part also has a GPS integrated with it to alert either government officials or the train company that basically the driver is not being responsible and is not operating in a safe manner. And basically it's all based on the Arduino platform because it's extremely low cost, easy to use, and also is very, very straightforward to set up and is ready to implement very, very quickly.
So how does the sensor work? Basically, we've found that elephants communicate through seismic vibrations. And so we found that these can be detected using like a piezo sensor up to 16 kilometers away. So we could space them out along the tracks and basically once it passes a threshold, we can send an alert that there's an elephant in that area.
All right, this is a little bit of snippet of code just showing how simple it really is to send location and presence of an elephant up to the cloud for, I guess, like analysis and then to alert a driver.
And like we said, it's super low cost and it's ready to go right now, and there's obviously a lot of government interest in this because no one wants to have a lot of train crashes in their country, and they've been looking for different ways to try to combat this issue, like posting different speed limit lines, and that's really not working, whereas this would obviously be pretty effective. And as she brought up earlier, right now there's no way to really track train speeds, and so they can just lie if they get into a crash, and this would help to keep them accountable. Thank you.
All right, where's switch to save? All right, switch to save, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Environmental awareness is increasing in the world, and yet energy consumption continues to rise. Switch to Save is an app which provides real-time energy data directly to your smartphone and compares it to a baseline metric based off your lifestyle. And by comparing this metric to your current energy consumption, you're able to monitor how energy efficiently you are living. By doing this, you're able to also see any monetary benefits that you can accrue by living a more energy efficient life.
So, how does it work? There are 80 million homes in America that already have electric smart meters. These have already been installed and use a wireless system that is the same that you use on your smartphone. So the data they collect, which is often in kilowatt hours, which the normal person might not have value for, is then converted in our system to be represented in potential savings. And so our system also integrates those savings by, instead of a standardized monthly fee that you pay to your electric company, receiving a yearly end rebate, our system pays exactly what you owe the electric company and then puts the savings into a savings account where you can be accruing interest and be getting it back on the monthly basis, thereby seeing the direct rewards and incentivizing lower energy usage. Our home screen would show a benchmark set by your lifestyle choices, which you implement in the app, and then it would show your current status on the day, week, month, and year basis of how efficient you are and whether you're meeting your goals. It would also show the monetary equivalent of what that energy usage means and present it in a way that the user can understand.
Okay, so looking at marketing, we found 3 different segments that we could potentially tap into. We ultimately chose new to young adults. These are people our age that are just coming out of college. So basically their main priority is budgeting. These are a bunch of bills that they're getting that they're not used to paying. So basically, they don't know how to pay an electric bill, or they don't know how much money you're supposed to be paying for an electric bill. So our app directly associates how much money they should be spending, and it also helps them see how much money they are saving.
So we go where the market goes. We can see that Internet of Things and smart meter experience a drastic increase throughout the years, and government and states are pursuing rapidly to like all their household in their states to install smart meters. So we are kind of experience a parallel trend with how smart meters market goes. So.
Yeah, and this is an example of some competing companies. As you can see, it's pretty expensive, and the main difference is that for those companies you have to install a separate device and able to get the data, whereas we just use the data we already have and work with an app. And also we have the benchmarking and saving features and provide tips like when energy is the cheapest and other things.
Yeah, just 10 seconds.
All right, and this is only the beginning. We would look to implement this into many communities, beginning to accrue larger benefits such as carbon offsets in apartment buildings and other urban settings, and integrating other energy sources, providing opportunities to scale and grow. Thank you all.
Thank you. Switch to Save. Up next is Algae Now. Algae Now.
It's Algini.
Algae, I'm sorry.
We are Team Algini. So methane emissions caused by cows are the #1 reason for global warming today. By creating a 3D modular algae farm system, we will decrease this production.
So putting this into a little bit of context, despite CO2 being the greenhouse gas we hear the most about, methane is actually 25 times more potent than CO2 in its effects on climate change. So in the US alone, each cow produces about 180 grams of methane each day for the duration of its feeding cycle. And in the US alone, there are 87 million cows, over 87 million cows. This is going to add up. So that basically leads to over 3 million metric tons of production of methane from just cows in the US alone per feeding cycle.
So currently, aquaculturists pay for 2D ocean space, but we give them 3-dimensional space. By using a grid system where they can plant different types of algae in each level depending on its optimal photic requirements, they can grow different types of algae in 3-dimensional space and take full advantage of their vertical property. And then when it comes time to harvest, they just pull up each strand and harvest sheets straight from each box, optimizing efficiency and growth for each individual algae.
So I know what you guys are thinking. Wait, we're just talking about cow emissions. What does this have to do with algae? So this is the key statistic right here. So an introduction of new feed that is 98% of the feed that the cow is formerly being given, so your corn or your soybeans, the standard feed, introduced with just 2% seaweed, results in an overall net reduction of methane emissions from cows by 70 to 90%. So this is incredibly impactful. If that's not enough for you, brown algae grows 30 times faster than land plants, so our harvest rates are going to be much quicker, and global production is almost exclusively in China. 75% of the global production of seaweed comes from China, and the U.S. is not producing what it could.
And so algae not only inhibits the methanogenesis inside the cows, but it has a lot of nutritional value. It has more potassium than bananas. It has more protein than red meat. And so this would be really great to market and sell to both actual people and to agriculture industries. And it also stimulates ecological diversity where our farms emulate these kelp forests and fish can go in and spread the marine biome. And we can also partner with seafood farmers where the fish that typically produce waste would get cleaned out by the bivalves and the mollusks that live at the bottom of the cages underneath our kelp farms, and it would clean the water, and so it would promote a more robust and healthy marine ecosystem. And so the modular design of this farm is actually a huge benefit. It allows us to spread really easily with low-cost pilots throughout the world, whether it be in warm temperate waters or northern waters. So we can grow all kinds of algae primarily suited to the customer's needs. And so we have computer vision monitoring as an option for us to automate the kelp growing process, and it can notify us when the kelp is best suited to be harvested.
And this is our team. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Up next we have Team 11, Eye of the Mantis. All right, Eye of the Mantis.
Good evening, guys. So my team is currently not here, unfortunately. They had to leave. But it consists of Angel, Daniel, Christian, Patrick, Roosevelt, and Sarah, and we are Eye of the Mantis. So our problem has been that, in fact, 10% of our fish are like big fish, actually like salmon, like whales or anything. There's only 10% left. So this was since the 1950s. It was from a research conducted, and actually 1 in 5 fish are caught illegally. And this means that like within that fish that was caught illegally, there is a revenue made of 23.5 billion in the black market. And this is actually occurs internationally within underrepresented nations. So there is an existing solution. This has been running through since the probably early as 1950s maybe. And the Vulcan Spotlight, which is a boat identification satellite, which tracks boats. There's another one that's Project Eyes on the Seas, which uses AIS, VMS, SAR data. They're from satellite transmissions to sea. Like they send signals to see where the current locations of objects in the sea. Global Fish Watch, which is another part of AIS and VMS data. And significant government expenditures, including the Coast Guard and police forces. So the issues with these are the major gaps include the AIS and VMS. Since they're manually controlled, we cannot really see and track them fully because they are monitored by the actual drivers. So what this does, they can shut it off and we lose track of them, so they disappear on the map. Another thing is the opportunity that real-time fishing boat identification is the form of satellite data. Our solution would be that the satellite maritime traffic location is analysis, which is leverage recent trends in increasing satellite spatial and temporal resolution to identify the fishing vessel. So basically this revisits the days daily instead of longer periods of time, and the resolution is actually less than 3M, which is pretty good for a satellite. And we would also analyze multispectral capacity to differentiate the different types of objects in the sea, which we're focusing right now are vessels. One thing we were pilot studying was Nauru, which is a tiny island on top of Australia in the northeastern part, which has a population of 10,000 people. And so Nauru's waters is exploited and has a lack of spatial awareness to the extent which is recurring in the water. So there's a lot of criminal activity, which is illegal fishing, mainly at this point at Nauru. So if you see the map, I can't point, but this is concentrated with the ships that are going around, and since this is an underrepresented island, we focus on this for now. And we actually, last night, we got some satellite images from New York, Shanghai, and Taijin, which we could, with an algorithm that we developed, we could see the different types of vessels flowing and being on the sea. And phase 1 includes our increasing maritime domain awareness. So what we want to do, we want to have a mutual agreement with the companies like Google and the fishing tracking agencies. And we want to work together in case they come to us, they give us a specific location and we can track that specific domain. And I'm sorry. Oh, I thought
Finish your sentence. Finish your sentence.
Oh, I'm sorry. And therefore, we can work together and work towards finding those illegal people. So this would be a website that it would be like Google Maps, but once we zoom in, we'd be able to see all the fleets And eventually we can, with the algorithm, we'll be able to filter those ships, and then the red dots create like a heat map and see where the vessels are located. And through machine learning, this heat map will be then, will be like configured and seen like, like different activities will then be like recorded and observed. So like that will help in the actual discovering of the people who are in charge of all this, like the head person. And then phase 2, the real-time intelligence, is another AIS, and like we can't really track. I'm sorry.
No, finish your sentence and then
walking. Yeah. The AIS, like, so we want to join both the AIS and the satellite system to like be able to identify them without having an ID. And this is an example of the AHS tracking. This is the final product. I'm sorry.
We get Social Sunrise Team 15 down here.
We're Social Sunrise. The Earth is dying. This is because not enough people know enough about nature or care enough about it to want to protect it. So we developed this app. It's like a game. It makes it really fun and easy to go outside and learn about nature. It's basically like Pokemon Go, but for nature.
So the app is comprised of two main parts. There's a competitive side and a collection side. So within the collection side, there's three main components. There's your personal field guide, which keeps a list of all of the species that you personally have seen and collected on your various endeavors. There's a local field guide, which has a list of all the native and invasive species so that you know what to look for each area that you go to. And there's also a global map, which if you think of like Snapchat, when you zoom out and you can see everything, and there's these local hotspots. And so if you click on those, you can see the other species that people have recently uploaded to that area so that you can compare between different biomes.
So in our game app, we're also going to be able to hold competitions where people sign up as individuals or teams to compete to find the different local wildlife species from a given list. And at a certain time, at a certain place, people can compete on a scoreboard.
So the underpinnings for this is we're using a backbone from the iNaturalist program, which you guys are a little bit familiar with from the lecture from yesterday. And what that provides is an excellent venue for getting the expert review and the verification process from a really wide range of established experts within this program. Another nice feature about backboning with the iNaturalist program is it gives you very quick swipe access. So for pictures that you've taken of the wildlife in your specific neighborhood or your specific park, it means that you'll have one swipe access to look at the total biographical history that is provided through the iNaturalist system in order to really give you more insight into that nature that you are now experiencing on a daily level. The nice part about integrating some iNaturalist data there is it also gives a lot more background for parents and trust for parents so that they know that the material that they're providing through this app has a lot of science-heavy, nature-friendly material that they did not have to vet themselves or they didn't have to lesson plan, do background research for. And it also gives this ability for them to provide a really good starting point without having to take their family to a zoo, which can be prohibitively expensive in some cases, or transport them to a specific wildlife area such as a national park. And it gives them something that they can kind of release their child on just in a neighborhood view on their own respect.
And mostly it's just really addictive and fun. Whether you're going out on your own, collecting your own personal list and checking things off your list in your local area, or you're challenging your friends. We have 5 seconds or 5 minutes. Let's go find 3 species of moss. Let's go, get prizes. I mean, there's like a scoreboard. You can see how many points you have versus other people. So it would be a really accessible and fun game. Thank you.
All right. And our final presentation this evening is going to be from Earth Hackers. All right, Earth Hackers.
Hi everyone, we're the Earth Hackers.
And we're from VCU and NC State. And we're presenting to you Green Screen in the Field. So currently around the world, there's a major epidemic of fungal infections of plant life and also wildlife. And the biggest problem for researchers is the very fact that in a lot of cases to gather samples, it's in very remote areas and it's labor and time intensive to actually analyze these samples. Our solution is Green Screen, a hardware, software integrated platform that utilizes FTNR to use machine learning with images and information uploaded to a database by users to analyze and provide information to the user itself.
So a little bit more on the hardware side of things. So we're using FTNIR, which stands for Fourier Transform Near Infrared Spectroscopy. That's a mouthful, hence we stick with the acronym. So the reason for going with FTNIR is because it's a non-destructive way to assess the health of plants as well as potentially identify species if you're not entirely sure what you're dealing with. The wavelengths that we would use are listed above and they're right outside the visible spectrum, so it's not an inconvenience to your eyes when you're using it. And the way that FTNIR works is that it shoots a laser beam at something and measures what light reflects back, and you get the information from that. So we are making this compatible with existing devices that people already have by adding a headphone jack to it so it can plug into your smartphone or tablet. And the way that this is different from existing devices like this is that it's modular and you can add additional sensors if you need different types of data. So the reason for all this hardware is because we're acquiring different types of data. As you saw in the mock-up of the app, the first most basic type is just visuals. You can take a picture and find out what it was that you saw. You can look at the sugar and nutrient concentration in specific leaves of plants to see what's going on inside the plant. And you can also test for presence and absence of fungi and whether the photosynthesis rate is normal to check if the plant is healthy. The last piece of the puzzle is the software. So our basic algorithm is that we receive input from the FTIR sensor. It performs an analog to digital conversion, which lets the software do its job. That's divided into two main parts. The first is the neural net, which draws on work done by really awesome places like iNaturalist and PlantSnap. And it basically compares the picture that you took while you were analyzing your data to existing images. And the other part is the comparison of baseline values to the photosynthesis rate, etc. you saw to test whether the plant is healthy. Goes to the user interface, it's in the palm of your hand.
So with Green Screen, an example would be the ohia trees on Hawaii in Hawaii Island. They're currently suffering from a rapid forest die-out of the rod fungus, which is rapid ohia death fungus. And Green Screen in reality would be able to provide researchers on the island real-time analysis of the fungal infections of these trees. And the cool thing is in later stages we hope to provide this so then users themselves, say in their own backyards, can measure their own ohia trees and give researchers in the government a scope in which to figure out the infection of funguses. Here are our sources. Thank you.
Thank you to all the teams who presented. At this time, I'd like to ask that all the judges who were doing the judging out in the expo will take a walk out into the lobby to deliberate, decide the final awards. Okay, in 5th place, receiving a prize sponsored by Savannah Honey, is Earth Hackers. In 4th place, also receiving some honey, is Kaleidoscope. All right. In 3rd place, in addition to the prizes that we have here today, the next 3 groups will be receiving grants sponsored by Conservation X Labs to prototype their projects. So in 3rd place, receiving $300 from Conservation X Labs, as well as honey and some products from Back to the Roots. I switched to Save. All right, in 2nd place, receiving honey and solar-powered phone chargers and batteries, and $700 from Conservation X Labs to prototype their device, their design, is Manatee Marker. receiving GoPros, including the ones that Amazon has somewhere lost in the mail, but we'll get them to you, I promise. As well as $1,000 from Conservation X Labs to prototype their device, is Algene. All right.
Would just like to give a round of applause to everyone that participated this weekend, and really like to thank all of you for coming out. So, round of applause to everyone. I would really like to reiterate that the coolest thing about these events for us is that if we can inspire you guys to continue your projects. If you weren't part of the top 5 or people that presented, that does not mean this is the end of the project for you. There are resources that are available, the online makerspace from Conservation X Labs, check it out. Stay in contact with the mentors that help you out throughout this weekend, because there was a lot of great ideas this weekend that I saw walking around. So really good job, guys. This is really exciting, and I'm glad that you all could make it out.
2 more tasks for everyone. Sorry, I know, you all want to leave. But it's on your way out. I'd love to see if we could get everyone to pose for a picture, and if all of the prize winners could have each team pose for a picture as well. We'd really appreciate that. We get all the participants here. If I could ask the mentors to sort of stand on the wings and recruit this table out, and we'll just get that done real quick. Thanks, everyone.